Phoenix Down Radio is on the air. With your hosts,
Klaus Nightbringer,
Seyrr Kimono,
Chille,
and Luna Vox.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 64. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing pretty okay.
Pretty okay, huh?
Pretty okay.
It turns out I can't get work done without deadline pressure.
Wow. And apparently we lost a Chille.
Oh no, not a Chille.
Damn it, Chille.
Not a Chille, the
How
Chille.
would we spicy
Apparently
now?
there was only one. Oh, there he is.
Hey, welcome back. And also, Manders, thank you so much. I worked really hard on that badass harp playing, so thank you for noticing. So, anyway, we have one hell of a show planned for tonight. We got a full house too, so thank you so much for joining us here live at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio or on the podcast, whether it's their iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is.
Smoke signals, rocks banged against each other to carry sound over long distances. Please leave us a review with a rock.
No, we don't want to smash
I'm
people.
hungry.
Well,
why not those little plastic cups with strings?
have you tried pork rinds, Luna?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing snack for right now because you're trying something very new with your diet, aren't you?
Yeah, I started keto probably about 2 weeks ago.
And how's that going?
Pretty good. I haven't really noticed anything weight wise, but I've noticed some things physically, so that's a plus.
Did you get through the keto flu?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's definitely a thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It makes you feel like you're dying pretty much, but no, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's your body running, trying to burn energy and get it off of ketones versus carbohydrates. So, but yeah, keep that up. Hopefully, it helps with making you feel better. I know Flatus has been on keto off and on. Akmorn, Shannon, I believe, was doing keto for a while. I don't know if she still is.
Oh, she is. Her and I have been talking about it, and she actually has a Discord completely dedicated to Final Fantasy players or anyone that is doing keto. So we kind of all hang out and support each other, share recipe ideas.
The warriors of keto.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
It does sound like vaguely like a fantasy kingdom of some sort.
It does.
There you go. It's canon now. We have there's a small little kingdom in an island off in the corner of the map called Keto.
Oh God!
Imagine if that's the name of the new DLC.
Oh God. Anyway, so I'm glad that that's going well for you. Seyrr, you've had quite last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, the main one was yesterday when I got home from work, set down my dinner and my drink on my desk, promptly in the dark, swung my hand the wrong way, knocked over the drink onto my keyboard and most of my desk in the process. Spent a good chunk of the evening cleaning that up. My keyboard was not functioning after that. And I only got it working managed to pick one up and get it working a few hours ago. So I am furiously writing lore segments. I thought I had more time, but on the plus side, I moved furniture and rearranged stuff in my room that I've been meaning to do for like 3 months. So, hooray!
Hooray. So that's not a bad thing, I guess. So
Yeah. Other than that, busy week at the library. We had an interesting time. A couple of the branches I was working at are usually very busy due to schools being nearby. But after a random unspecified threat, like about a third of the students stayed home. Fun times.
Yeah, let's not get into that portion of it yet.
Yeah.
But
no, I've barely had time to log into the game, and it's kind of frustrating me actually because I was like, I had all these plans for things to get done, and I've mostly just sent off my retainers and then gone off to work on other things.
Well, it's something, so.
Are my retainers back yet?
How about you, Chille? What have you been up to?
I've been trying to stream more often, mainly because I've been trying to stay in because of how damn cold it is here.
On twitch.tv/PSU Live.
Yeah, that's it. Twitch.tv/PSU Live.
Oh, I saw an article about that. Like, Europe was colder than the Arctic last week.
Yeah, it was down to -22 with wind chill here.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's still got snow outside, even though it hasn't snowed for 2 days. That's how bad it is.
Oh, that's cute, Chille.
Hey,
That's
not everything
adorable.
needs to turn into a thing about how much worse Minnesota is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying it's cute.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a hell of a snowstorm last week. We had
snow all week here. It wasn't a snowstorm, but we had about, I think, overall about 40 centimeters.
that's
snow.
that's quite a bit. That's about 9 inches, 10 inches.
That's over the week, of course. Not
Yeah, but that's still a lot of snow in a short period of time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, so I don't blame you for wanting to stay
so
in and
bad.
play video games.
In fact, it's been so bad that after the snow things, they all gave flood warnings.
I suppose, because ground might have gotten a little cold, and then with the amount of precipitation that might be melting, definitely.
So yeah, I've been trying to stay indoors.
Stay warm, Chille. Well, here in Minnesota, it got like 45 degrees today.
Ooh.
Fahrenheit,
Ooh, that's
not
frickin'
centigrade,
beautiful.
yeah. For this time of year, it's gorgeous. 45 degrees in the beginning of March, fabulous. So we'll
Walking
take it.
around in a sweatshirt and
Hell, I would have been out in shorts.
It's 31 Fahrenheit here.
Yeah, we're actually warmer than you guys. Well, actually, right now it is. Yeah, it's 39 according to my phone. So
Yeah.
Oh,
With a
hot
real
damn.
feel of 20.
yeah, the wind was cold. Anyway, I've been keeping up with the stream every day campaign. I made it all the way through January and February. I streamed every day on the Phoenix Down Radio channel, and doing pretty well going into March now. So I'm hoping to keep it up. Been keeping up with tomes and all that. I should be able to get my my weapon. No, I can't get it next week because I have to get one more thing after that. So 2 weeks I'll be getting my tome weapon. That'll be nice. Still kind of scared to get into Savage content, but
Do it! Just do it!
I'm probably gonna try and do some more.
No, do it!
Why? Don't make me do it.
Because trust me, you will find it piss take easy. Especially
I've
5 and 6.
I've definitely been hearing a lot of people raiding this time around. It sounds like it's not too crazy.
You will find 5 and 6 pretty easy.
Yeah, if 5 and 6, you said they're not too much different than their normal counterparts, just higher DPS check and things like that.
Yeah. I said 5, you literally pretty much have the ghost different, and then apart from that, all the mechanics do a bit more damage. So, for head-on, you just got to make sure you run away, you can't stand near it, and so forth. And the tether ghosts. Trust me, I'll run it with you sometime.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Well, if I do that, you will only get one chest, though.
Well, yeah, because I suppose you're going to have your static to go through and all that. I may try to plug it, but I want to try and get some more Byakko clears. I think I haven't run it for a while. I should also do more PvP so I can get those orchestrion rolls.
And give them to me.
And then
If you
charge
queue up now,
Seyrr a
maybe you'll
small
get in.
fortune for them.
If you queue up now, maybe you'll get in for the next show.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, PvP has been kind of slow lately, hasn't it?
I tried it once. It's like, this will take an hour. No, I'm good.
All right. What else is new with you guys? Anything else notable?
I got my astrologian to 70, so that's a thing.
Sweet. I did also cap out on the Beast Tribe, so I've got my True Griffin mount.
Oh yeah, that happened, doesn't it?
Yes, and I have to figure out what I'm going to level next because I don't have anything else at level 60, so I'm going to have to level something else up from 50 up so I can use Beast Tribes for more experience.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might go back and work on ARR Beast Tribes.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Maybe I'll unlock an narrative one day.
They seem to go so much slower
They
than
do.
the other ones,
They
though.
do. They
Yeah.
really do.
They do.
Uh,
I know for myself, I have been working on just like getting all of my jobs up so I can start getting rid of older gear.
Yep.
mhm.
So everything except my healers is now at least level 65.
Cool. I
Oh wow.
did. Oh, speaking of leveling stuff, I actually also started building our first submarine. I got the pressure hull built.
Mondo Lando send her regards.
Oh wow! Well, thank you very much for that donation, Manders. Greatly appreciated.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
So sweet. Awesome.
Turns
Thanks,
out you
Manders.
can buy our love.
But we've been slowly but surely making progress on that, and I need to send my airships out to get stuff so I can make the next level of plans as well. So we'll work on it. We'll get the first submersible out there eventually for the Phoenix Rising Free Company. I just need more people to help me out with the each step of the way. So.
Oh, by the way, while we're talking about leveling up, I'm now 356 because I got another 370 piece this week.
Jesus, Chille.
Nice.
I thought I was
Yeah.
doing good because I hit 350 finally.
Right?
Congrats, though.
So
Yeah, I didn't get a drop, but I had 4 books from
That
Savage
works.
for one, so I just bought an accessory.
all right, so let's go ahead and move on to some gaming community news. This is something that was brought to our attention a couple of weeks ago by our good friend Dylan Thorne, also an avid supporter of the show. Thank you so much for all that support, Dylan. Seyrr, why don't you talk about this since you're kind of in the mix on this whole thing?
Yeah, so Iota and Ager from Balmung are helping along with Dylan to run the Benfina Madness Blitzball tournament. It's an RP Blitzball tournament. Pretty much, in order to keep it from just keep it interesting, they actually devised a set of rules around the scoring of goals. People created characters, developed an entire little thing around it. The idea being, as the Alamico is being welcomed back into the fold of the Eorzean Alliance, having one last Blitzball tournament to kind of like welcome it back in, get things set up on the right foot. There are some Garlean competitors as well, which is an interesting touch. Anyways, but they're actually having the various teams sponsored, where for each goal scored, sponsors will be donating money to the FFXIV Content Creators Extra Life team. I'm actually one of the sponsors myself. I am bankrolling the Kugane Koban Crushers in the name of international diplomacy and maybe giving me a really sweet katana. And yeah, I mean, like, one of those things where I wanted to raise money for a good cause and decided to do something that put a little fun around it, leverage some of those role-playing skills, gave everyone a chance to just have a bit of fun and do something a little bit entertaining.
Definitely.
So I think we do have the link for that. If I know the team I sponsored, the Koban Crushers, are playing the Guild Turtles tonight, I believe.
I believe they would have just finished a little while back,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the score was. So
I should check the results on that. I don't know if they're still looking for sponsors or just any other donations for that extra life fundraiser are always appreciated, or just people to come and cheer them on.
yeah, because I believe they're doing this on Balmung. Is that correct?
That's
I think
correct.
so.
Yep, and in the Ruby Sea.
Yeah, it's like there's no way I'm gonna make it on there, so I'll just read about it in the papers the next day, kind of
Yes.
thing.
So I did.
Also,
Sounded like a fun idea. I wanted to put my weight behind it because, like, it's always easy to say, like, hey, we should donate to this good cause, but making some type of little competition out of it and just having a little bit of fun feels like a really fun way to build some engagement.
And since we're one of the groups that's going to be benefiting from it, it's kind of cool. So Thank you, Sarah. We greatly appreciate that.
Also, they recently just appeared on Maelstrom Radio tonight.
Correct. To talk about this as well. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a more full explanation of how they came up with that, go check out the Maelstrom Radio episode when it goes live out at maelstromradio.com.
Pretty involved. Profiles, special moves for each player, backups.
They went really in depth on it. So, I mean, it's very, very well done. So congratulations on getting all that set up. And the last that I had seen on it, after their first week, they had raised $52 so far.
Yeah, every little bit, right?
Exactly. Definitely. Some sadder news that happened earlier in the week. For those of you who are familiar with the Netflix show Daddy of Light, the actor who played the father, his name was Ren Osugi. He passed away recently from a heart attack, and that's really kind of sad. I don't know. Did you guys get a chance to check out the show?
Yeah,
I haven't yet.
I loved watching Dad of Light.
I was like, I do not have enough for a ticket on this Feels train right now.
No, but it was a very cute show. I thought it was well done. And it was kind of cool. The producer of the show actually logged on to the character that they used for the in-game machinima portion of it, and kind of stayed on there as kind of a show of respect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very cool. I was kind of hoping that we maybe be able to get like a sequel or some additional stuff on that, but it's kind of
at the very least not with those particular characters.
Yeah, maybe they have to expand on something else, but go ahead, Luna.
I wonder now if the people over at SE will kind of make him kind of like immortalized in game and make an NPC out of him.
That would be cool. I've heard it talked about, I believe it was on She Heals I Tank. They had talked about, they should put him in as, somebody had said they should put him in as a Fate character where you have to go save him from a treant. If you watch this show, you'll understand where that's coming from, but very cute idea.
That would be adorable.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Osugi-san. Some happier news. Yoshida was promoted to a director at Square Enix, so he is now on the board of directors.
Congratulations! You're going to be working even harder,
right? But
feel bad for the guy. How many positions does he have now?
He's a director. He is an executive producer. He is, he's a very, very busy man. I mean,
the hardest working man in show business. Wait, what?
Not quite, but
almost. He's
a very busy man. Trying to keep an MMO alive. I'm also putting a link to that in the Twitch chat. We'll have all of this information in the show notes as well once this podcast goes live. But yeah, they promoted a number of new directors. I think 8 total. Two left, but they brought 8 new ones in, so they can kind of spread the load, so to speak. Get a little bit more ideas flowing throughout the corporate offices. Hopefully, it all turns out good.
Hopefully, this means bigger budget for the next expansion.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with no.
We'll see. For those of you who play Final Fantasy 15 or are anxiously awaiting the PC release, you may have seen some really, really odd news pop through your feeds.
Yeah.
Earlier it was announced that the Steam version is going to be getting Half-Life 2 or Half-Life skins for the characters. But, Origin, they couldn't be outdone. They made some frickin' Sims skins.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I thought it was a parody and then realized it was real.
It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, this is right from the EU Square Enix blog. Sims 4 costumes are going to be in Final Fantasy 15 if you buy the game through Origin.
Now, I mean, if they wanted it to be accurate Sims costumes, it should have been naked with sensor boxes and on fire.
So you can not
Also,
only
if they go into a body of water, they can't get out and they drown. At least
Also-
that's the Sims experience of most people I know.
or
Also, they've got to replace all their dialogue with.
I would play that game so much.
well, I think the plumb bob is kind of a neat idea, but the llama suit really.
That's just like I'd be ironic about it when I say my immersion, but holy crap, my immersion.
Right.
Sorry, I'm just too busy thinking of everyone else but Noctis and the crew being able to speak properly.
Oh god.
It's like, oh no, go do hot.
A cup of
Arden
noodle.
Arden just appears. It's like, I will. I want this as my new version of Final Fantasy 15.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. This next little bit made my wallet lighter. Damn you, Steam. Damn you. This week is the Final Fantasy, or is Square Enix Publisher Week on Steam. So all of these Square Enix games are on sale, including most of the Final Fantasy games. They're 50% off.
They did also bring out that Chrono Trigger re-release, which I am actually kind of pissed off about.
Did it stop you from buying it though?
I didn't buy it. This is one of the times where I am voting with my dollars.
Oh.
Like, it was a port of the crappy mobile port.
Oh.
Like, I understand it's easier for them, but for something like Chrono Trigger, it's like, come on, put in the effort or don't do it at all.
Yeah. But I was able to pick up some games that I had been waiting for. I mean, I own them on PlayStation, but now I was able to pick up 3, 4 for the After Years, 5, and 6 for PC. And all those games only cost me like $35.
Oh, well.
Damn.
So, I mean, if you've been looking to expand your collection of Final Fantasy games in Steam, this is definitely the time to do it. I mean, the other ones are also on sale, but I already had 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. So, I mean, even the 13 games are on sale. The only one that's not is the 15 pre-order.
Understandable.
But yeah, it's pre-order, brand new game.
That makes sense.
Exactly. And then,
Someone will be there complaining.
but why is this game not on sale? Because it's not out yet, dumbass.
Yeah. It literally isn't on sale.
Yes, it's available. It's available for pre-order, but it's not for sale yet. So it can't be on sale if it's not for sale. You're just pre-ordering. For those of you who play 14 with us, I'm sure most of you do. The Little Ladies Day is live as event, and Chille is apparently trying to bring in an airplane.
Yay! I will get in eventually.
Have you guys seen some of the memes that have been going out because of this particular emote?
No.
Yeah. There's
I haven't actually. Like, have Alligans ruined yet another thing for us?
No, people have been photoshopping pictures of airplanes coming in.
Yeah. That is about right.
All I know is
ancient Allag.
all I know is I've picked the right girl.
Yes. Masha is definitely the girl.
Mashu's best girl.
Mashu, best girl. Well, it's also why can't I think of her name? It's her sister.
Nashu?
Yeah, thank you.
Mashu.
I heard people arguing for Narumi again.
She's just kind of plain.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone arguing for Ulala, so...
No one's going to argue for Ulala.
She's just a basic bitch.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because she's so into herself.
Yeah. But make sure that you do the quest after the first quest. Just FYI.
I still need to do that.
Do the quest. Will definitely be
I
worth
have
it.
to find a guide because it's confusing.
It's not that bad, actually.
No, it's not that bad.
It's pretty.
There's a water part, baiting part I'm on. I can't work out what that is.
You're on the what part?
The water painting, the first part.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can help you with that, Chille.
Yeah.
I'll help you with that after the show if you want, or actually, or sometime in the next couple of days, I can help you with that.
Or I can even help you after the show, whatever.
Exactly, whatever, whoever. But it's worth it. Damn you, Square Enix. Damn you.
The feels.
Yes. Otherwise, some more good news. We do finally have a release date for 4.25. We are getting Eureka on March 13th.
Oh boy.
Man.
Man just loves you, Lala.
Oh, I think that's actually the first day of my vacation. I was going down to visit my family for my birthday, so I was going to have a bunch of time off, so that actually works decently.
Sorry, guys, I can't come down. Something came up.
No? I mean, like, I'll totally go down and visit. It's just like, when it's like 10 p.m. and they're asleep, or 3 a.m. and they're asleep, or 6 a.m. and they're wondering why I haven't gone to sleep. I'm living my best life, guys.
By the way, while we're talking about the new patch, I'm hoping to do a big stream to celebrate the launch of why it's launching. So please look forward to it.
Cool. So yeah, I'm sure he'll have more details on that when the date gets closer. But yeah, we're a week and a half out, guys.
Also, the Hildebrand stuff, but that's going to be done in like 2 quests.
Yeah, well, hopefully, that's twice as much content as we have now.
I haven't touched the Hildebrand yet because I want to wait until there's more
Exactly. I fully agree. And then the last little bit of news, Seyrr's new little segment in here, his Gacha Roundup.
We're making this a thing, are we?
Well, you've had it. It's been 2 episodes in a row now. That's a thing.
That makes it a thing. Yep. All right, so what do we have going? Record Keeper's 3rd anniversary is on the horizon. We know that's going to be including lots of special banners, dungeons, prizes, all that good stuff. This is going to be the quasi-official introduction of Arcane Overstrikes, which do 3 overflow hits, as well as Glints, special soul breaks that require half a gauge, or 1 gauge under the new system, go off instantly and give a variety of handy little support effects. We did get a preview of Arcane Overstrikes and Glints with the Kingdom Hearts event, which is going to be wrapping up tomorrow. So if you have any last things to get there, want to make any last polls, this is the time to do it.
Or if you're listening on the podcast, sorry you missed it.
Yeah, but you should have done this sooner. Sora and Riku, it's unclear whether we're going to be getting content for them in the future, but even with what they have now, they're actually pretty good. Sora is kind of acting as a quasi-Bartz and quasi-Squall for me, which is really nice. We did have an FF8 event start a few days ago, and we had an FF9 one that's going to be starting about next week, but nothing super special there. The 3rd anniversary is the big thing everyone's looking forward to. For Mobius Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy VII collaboration is wrapping up. They did have the Sephiroth Battle Tower event close up a few days ago. The areas are going to remain open until the end of March in case you need to farm up more of that sweet, sweet loot. They have added the new Legend Job Ketchi suit, or Kate Sith suit. It is a Ranger Legend job that has very strong break power and an ultimate that massively debuffs and breaks all enemies.
I pulled it.
Yeah, it is the 3rd of the 3 that are based off of those mascot costumes from Final Fantasy X-2. Very silly, but facing off against the ultimate chaos in a theme park mascot costume is just kind of wonderful.
Yeah, and especially the weapons are the yellow megaphones.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty funny. Also, I like Seyrr, I also then pulled the flower girl, the Midgard flower girl costume for Maya.
Yep.
But then
So
Seyrr
everyone
had
gets
to
to have
pull
her-
some Supremes.
Just like 3. Yeah, I was kind of massively gobsmacked.
Did you have that much Magicite, or did you just have that many? Did you save up that many summon tickets?
Both. I had enough saved up that I could have done about 30 pulls if I wanted.
I'm pretty close. I'm not that high up. I could do about maybe 10, but.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I have been very patient and very diligent, and it has paid off. For Defu, the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, Chapter 6 has just been released. That adds Waka, who blinds foes and buffs his own stats. Galuf, who uses the Final Fantasy V mechanics of mastering his abilities after a few uses. He has a tanking focus. And Shantoto, whose attacks become... Yep, her special abilities become stronger when she has taken damage. So when someone hits her, she hits back hard. We are having a new event starting tomorrow that is going to feature Balthier, whose special abilities involve stealing buffs from enemies.
Oh, the hero has arrived.
Yep, the main character.
The main character, yes.
The leading man. Anyways, the World of Illusions is currently offering Carbuncle's treasures for all of your upgrade material farming needs. And it's expected that towards the end of the month, it's going to be opening again with Shiva-focused materials. So if you want to go ahead and get your summons leveled up, that's going to be a prime opportunity. Many of you have already taken advantage of that for Ifrit. Shiva is going to be an interesting one whose effect isn't necessarily as potent, but Ifrit's does have the problem that if you take any amount of hit point damage, you lose that buff. So this is something that might be a little bit more reliable.
Okay. And one thing to note that if you've already cleared and completed everything in Carbuncle's treasures, you will not get to clear it again, so you won't get the bonuses from it, but you can still run all of the areas.
Yep. Like, when these things, these ones recur, you do not get the extras from that, but you do get to jump right into farming the higher level materials.
Correct.
They are also running a special campaign where the daily quests that provide crystals are giving double yield. I can confirm that if you use a loot doubling support item on top of that, you do get quadruple yield.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty damn sweet. For Brave Exvius, even though I don't play it anymore, I am going to still try to keep up on what's going on with it for you guys. They have just recently started a Final Fantasy IX Alexandria Castle event. Featured summons Beatrix, Aiko, Steiner, and Black Waltz 3 have bonuses at their summoning rate, and they've also given new 6-star forms to other Final Fantasy IX characters like Zidane, Garnet, and Vivi. Final Fantasy XV raid event is currently ongoing, which has you face off against Arania.
Whoa.
Good times.
I mean, it was an okay game for a while, but I don't know, something about it just really doesn't float my boat anymore.
I have friends who are still into it. It's a little too grindy for my taste, but each to their own.
True. I also kind of feel the same way about Record Keeper, but again, to each their own.
That's about all we've got going in the mobile game market right this moment, aside from the whole Chrono Trigger remake, which I object to violently.
All right. So if you have any things that you'd like us to talk about, like in the gaming community, you can always send us an email, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. We would love to hear from you guys and read, what events you have going on, because we'd love to share all of that, because this is an awesome community and we love to showcase it. So for this week's discussion, there was a big post out on the official forums from Yoshida regarding an exploit that was found. Apparently it was found a few months ago by some player and was posted on the main forums, but nothing had been done about it. Finally, they decided to fix this issue, and that involves exploiting the I'm trying to figure out how to explain where this comes from. It's from the squadrons.
I can explain this bit at least.
Go ahead.
So your squadrons, when you're out with them, running dungeons with them, you actually accumulate a limit break with them as well. It's a very simple one, just does some extra damage and buffs your attack for a while.
Yep, that's what I was trying to figure out. But what people figured out a while ago actually was you can actually use that command outside of squadron duties. Yes, I said duty.
there was a text command, like so many other things. There's an inline text command to be able to activate some of these things, and it was found that that inline text command worked even when you were not using a squadron.
Yep, and they've now since, because people were using it in Ultimate Bahamut, in Sigmascape Savage, in all the high-end content, they've decided to fix it. So they have now patched it out.
I did hear it being compared in terms of how this happened. In some ways, it was compared to the Palace of the Dead issue, where Pomanders were able to be used.
Yeah, where you can use it everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they figured out how to stop that, and they now patched that portion out.
Yeah.
However, go ahead.
Yeah, on its own, this isn't that unusual thing. We've had weird glitches before. We've had stuff like this happen. So that by itself, I don't think would have been as newsworthy, but...
No, but the fact that he then came out with a big post on it. That's right, I want to go ahead and read that. So this is Naoki Yoshida, producer director of Final Fantasy XIV. Allow me to provide update on the current situation here. There's various other information on external websites that is causing confusion, but it was in fact late last night, Japanese time, that the development team, myself included, learned of this bug in the same way many others did. Regardless of how and why, at the same time as confirming the truth of what is written on the other websites, we consider this a highly urgent bug and made preparations to fix it promptly. That's what the emergency maintenance earlier was for. Apologies that the information as to why was delayed. The bug has been fixed and the action is no longer usable in the content other than what it is meant for. We are currently continuing to communicate with the NA and EU teams as there's an issue with time difference, but are proceeding accordingly to confirm the below points. Point one, whether or not the comment written on the external website reporting that it was reported to a GM team 4 months ago is true or not. 2, if it was, then why the issue was not reported accordingly back then. And 3, identify the amount of characters that are assumed to have intentionally used this action for incorrect means. The bug that has now been fixed could have occurred accidentally by the incorrect use of a macro that had been put in place for the standard use of the action in some exact conditions if they were met by chance. Therefore, we will be careful in our decision as to who used it deliberately. In order for the research into this to be done, keeping in mind the issue of time difference, we ask for your time and patience on this. We'll be in touch upon gathering and summing up the necessary information, including what needs to be done going forward to prevent this issue from occurring again. We sincerely apologize for this bug and the time it's taken to fix it. Thank you for your patience, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So basically what was happening is that people were using Ungermax in these other duties, and it was causing issues because it buffs all of their stats. It only uses one bar of the limit.
It buffs by 50%, by the way.
It's a pretty substantial buff.
It was something that was meant to be used when you're just working with yourself and with your squadron characters who are AI-wise much weaker, and so the stat boost is meant to make up for some of those weaknesses.
Yes. But so they're trying to figure out, what to do about it. Personally, I'm hoping that they really don't do anything bad. It's not that game breaking. Realistically, I mean, the people who use it, basically the only thing they cheated was themselves. They're not really able to gain anything major out of it, unless people were using it to sell clears.
Which, I mean, may have been a thing. But I know one of the things that would actually be a bit of a concern, and it was mentioned, there was concerns or claims that that information had been known about by some GMs that had been known about by GMs for some time, but nothing had been done about it.
Yeah.
And if that is true, they are going to very much want to know why that information did not make its way to where it was supposed to.
That, I think, is probably the biggest information.
They're the ones that are going to be hit the hardest, I think, if it's found out.
Yeah. I remember in 11, there were always rumors that went around about there are some GMs who also play the game and they manipulate stuff to give HNMLS's advantages or other things like that, where a lot of it was just allegations that were never actually proven, but the distrust alone was really not great for the community.
Yeah. But anyway, with this news coming out, I thought it would be really cool for us to have a discussion on some of the other bugs, glitches, and exploits that have been known about throughout the Final Fantasy series. Now, we're not going to go through every single one in detail, guys, because we'd be here for about a week.
It turns out there's a lot of them.
Especially in
AKA
6.
the Chille hour.
Yeah, and Chille, if you listen to any of his other stuff, is known to break games. He is the glitch master.
I am. If it exists, I will glitch it.
So this is definitely up Chille's alley, and because Seyrr just loves odd information like this, I know he was really on board. And then Luna actually did a video on some of the glitches we'll be talking about in Final Fantasy XIV. So So this is a really good one for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of these range from, like, just the basic graphical stuff that mostly gives you a funny appearance to the absolutely game-breaking, and in some cases, save file destroying.
Yeah, definitely
Fun
there's some really
times.
nasty ones here. But first of all, I want to thank the Final Fantasy Wikia for all of the information that we pulled on this. Most of the information on bugs and glitches came from them, so thank you very much. I have posted a link in the Twitch chat, and we will also be giving them credit in the show notes.
Yeah, including a surprising amount of stuff about specific mechanics for how some of them worked. It was really fascinating.
Yes. So let's jump right into it, guys. So in Final Fantasy I, there were some things that were definitely broken in that game. For instance, the crit rate. Crit rate was actually based not on the crit stat on the weapon, but on its index number instead.
And that, for the non-technical types, that means internally the game has a list of all the weapons in some order. In this case, based on when you got them in the game, and stuff you got later in the game would have a higher index.
Yep, even if it wasn't supposed to have a high crit rate, something like Excalibur would be very high percentage of crit.
The Masamune Sword was actually famous as a weapon that could be given to anyone that had an absurdly high crit rate, and only one part of that was intentional.
Yes.
I think it was intended a 10% crit rate, and its actual crit rate was like 40%.
Yep, or more even, depending on what its number was. So.
No, I actually went and looked at the files for that. It was 40%.
Oh, wow, okay. So it was number 40 in the game?
Yep.
Interesting. I thought there were more than 40 weapons, but I suppose for an NES game, that's pretty high.
Yep. But yeah, no of the actual crit stats, nothing in the game had an intended one above about 30 or so. And that was two weapons that were supposed to be like legendary, absurdly sharp blades that were supposed to have high crit rates. Other than that, other stuff usually topped out at 10%.
Yep.
So having a 40% crit rate was a bit extreme.
Now, one of the big things within Final Fantasy, the original, was people would love to do the red mage runs. Now, red mages are supposed to be the jacks of all trades, yet masters of none. They're supposed to be decent at, doing frontline damage and be able to dabble a little bit in black and white magic.
Dabble.
As such, they were supposed to have a lower intelligence stat, which meant the spells were supposed to be not quite as potent. But
their intelligence stat was lower.
Yes, but it did not mean that their magic didn't go off as potently as a black or a white mage. So anything that they had.
Yeah, that intelligence stat was supposed to affect your magic damage, but it didn't.
So that's why the red mage party was a thing.
And we're all happy about that bug.
Yes.
I'm kind of neutral.
And there were a lot of stat affecting spells that actually didn't work. And in some cases, they could actually glitch. They would actually, make it go the opposite way and made it so it would actually increase an enemy's evasion. So
yeah, I think it was Lock 2 was internally coded to be a reduce enemy evasion by 20%, but the actual effect ended up being to increase enemy evasion by 20%. So it was a debuffing spell that actually made them worse to fight.
Or actually, wasn't that one where it actually glitched and brought it all the way to the top? There was one of these that did that, I thought, when I initially wrote this up, but I thought this might have been it.
I'm not quite sure which one. I've got the internal stats somewhere.
All right.
But there are also weapon special effects that were supposed to do more damage to certain types of enemies that did not work properly at all. Lots of weird little glitches like that.
Yeah, but it's still a great game, right, guys?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't change the historical value. It doesn't change any of that other stuff.
No.
But there was definitely a lot of, oh, wow, like this was the early days of this. And for all that people gripe about glitches in modern games, they're actually the quality assurance is a lot better now than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. All right.
This type of thing is not something I think we'd ever see making it into a modern game.
Yep. FF2. They had a system in that game where you had to level up your abilities and your how well you use weapons.
Oh man, it's like the precursor to FF11 skill up parties.
Yeah. So characters could actually gain levels by selecting a command and canceling it in the target screen, but it allowed them to still get stronger.
So yeah, just sit there, attack, cancel, attack, cancel, attack, cancel. Do this for a little while, and oh hey, you gained a sword skill level.
Yes.
Didn't do a damn thing, but...
And then a little less breaking, but not still kind of a sucky thing. Ultima was supposed to gain power based on the skill level of your other spells that the character had, but it didn't.
By the way, I forgot to put this in, but that wasn't actually a full glitch. It was a glitch, but it wasn't really a glitch. Basically, there was an interview recently, a couple of years ago, 2014 I think it was, where one of the... this was on silicon.com, by the way. Silicon Air. They actually got to interview one of the programmers, and he said this: all of that legendary stuff, it dates back to an age that didn't even have proper techniques. If you were to look at such things now in the present's point of view, it would be natural that they look inferior. For this reason, it is given that Ultima's abilities would be bad. As for those that struggle on Omnia, acquired it only to find it useless, well, that's something that often happens in life, so I'm not going to fix it.
That really sounds like someone trying to bullshit a reason after the fact.
Yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, supposedly it was an intended glitch.
Yes, Lisa, it's the read.
Final Fantasy III had an... it's one of its most well-known glitches was the item upgrade glitch. Seyrr, you want to talk about this one?
Oh, that's a fun little one. So like a lot of these other types of ones, it took advantage of having data overflow from one spot into another. So if you were to arrange the items in your inventory in a particular order, and have a large number of something that you could get as a random item drop, such as a potion, when you would receive those item drops, it would cause that number data to overflow into the next spot and could actually transform the other items. So you could turn, for instance, a harp into a stronger version of that harp, things like that. It was actually possible to get the strongest Onion Knight equipment at the start of the game using that method with a lot of patience. This strategy was called FEOK, or Fully Equipped Onion Knight, and still gets referred to from time to time today. It was fixed in the DS remake, but in the process they added an item duplication glitch. So I guess a little bit better in that it at least means you can't get something you couldn't already get, but...
It is what it is, huh?
Yeah, and that's one of the other things I saw a lot looking into this. How many of these random weird things ended up becoming part of the lore of the game, ended up becoming things that players referred to.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of fun. Like these silly little mistakes that become that people are like that they're memorable mistakes. They cause people to tell stories about it, to remember all this crazy stuff they did. So in some ways, it seems like it can actually work out better for the health of the game long term, as long as it doesn't.
Another thing is that a lot of speedrunners use these type of glitches to kind of get the fastest time through the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's definitely a thing. I know a lot of like Mario games. If you make the game think a certain event has happened, it basically triggers the end game.
Yep. A lot of this requires reasonably deep understanding of the internal coding.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of a fun way to test your knowledge and understanding of just how much, like for someone who really loves a game, to be able to say, I know it in this really deep, intimate way where I can utterly break every part of it.
Yep.
In the way I want.
So they are speedrunners. They have their own classification. There is like the glitches and the glitch-free speedruns.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, please do not apply this logic to your relationships.
Definitely.
Right.
Moving on, Final Fantasy IV. You could actually skip an entire dungeon using Rydia's warp spell to return to a crystal chamber that the game reused for multiple locations.
Ah, yes. The one in the Dwarf King Castle, when you go to try to save the crystal there. Afterwards, if you're like that space, that room was actually used as a crystal chamber for multiple locations. So by using warp to jump back to it, you could then jump ahead several points in the plot.
The Game Boy remake had an issue where all the save data on the cartridge would be erased if you performed a specific set of steps. We're not going to tell you which ones they are. They're not something you would normally do. It's really difficult.
Yeah, they were kind of weird and random. If you really want to do it, you can go ahead and look it up. Phoenix Down Radio takes no responsibility for you wrecking your older sister's save game or something like that.
Yes. And then...
But it was only 2 days away from retirement.
Oh my god.
I'm too old for this shit. But one of the coolest glitches that I've seen comes from the after years, where it could only keep track of one level of elemental resistance for each character. So if you had an accessory that, say, absorbed fire damage but resisted all elements, you would end up absorbing all elements.
Oh, that combination, I did look a bit into that. That involved 2 accessories. But yes, it's absolutely insane. They didn't have, okay, this is their fire resist stat, this is their ice stat, it was just this character resists an element. This character absorbs an element. Oh, they've got another thing that says it applies to all elements. I guess they absorb all elements.
Yes.
Let's just hope
genius
Eureka
there.
has that glitch.
Right? I doubt it, but...
Fucking genius there, guys.
And Corvanus,
We
thank
can
you so
hope.
much for that follow. We appreciate that. Anyway, were you going to say something, Luna?
I said we can only hope.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Final Fantasy V, it was actually possible to permanently lose different vehicles, including the Windrake, the Black Chocobo, and even the airship. And if you lost the airship, you could not finish the game again. You had to start over.
Yep. Now, the other ones, if you did lose them, you did lose access to various side quests, areas that were accessible only by Black Chocobo, for instance, where the airship couldn't land. So it was still a bit of a bad thing if you lost them, but you could still at least get through.
Random encounters could actually be skipped by opening the menu to reset the encounter rate tracker.
And that was one that showed up in a couple other games in the series as well, but I think 5 was one of the first ones where they really found out about how you could do that. Take a couple steps, open menu. Take a couple steps, open menu. It's your very own no encounters.
If you had the patience for it.
Well, yeah.
Because that would take a very long time to get anywhere.
You get used to the muscle memory and it just flies.
Yeah. Flies. And
1 step for you, 1 pause for me. 1 step for you, 1 pause for me.
And then
I understood that reference.
The chemist's mix ability could actually inflict berserk on enemies normally immune to it. And it actually allowed players to skip the last form of the final boss.
Oh man, someone needs to try this in 04S. See if that works.
I doubt it. I don't think we have anything that can even inflict berserk.
Details.
You know what?
By the way,
you
what
write
we're
it in,
talking about-
and yeah.
While we're
Chille.
talking about Savage, I had a bit of an interesting glitch this week.
Well, can we talk about those in the Final Fantasy XIV glitches?
I shall, but...
Yes, write it down, save it.
Yes, please.
I want to hear this, but let's
Yes.
get to 14 before we get into those.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Because I know there's a lot of different glitches in the MMOs, so don't forget that one, Chille. But this is the big one now. Final Fantasy VI.
Oh my god. So 6 has had hackers and just people researching the game have found over 100 different glitches in the original SNES version, ranging from minor mechanical to literally not just delete, but randomly fuck up your saves.
Hardcore.
Oh, so a couple of my favorites. So Realm's Sketch command. It was incredibly buggy, could access volatile memory for a lot of its stuff because it behaved improperly when you were attempting to sketch someone that couldn't normally be sketched. It could crash the game and permanently alter the save data, again in ways that were really hard to predict. I personally had both experienced having all of my save data wiped and having 255 Ragnarok swords and 255 Illumina swords put into my inventory.
Yay.
That sounds like fun, though.
I mean, If you really want to gamble with your save file, like, it was definitely oh god, what is this little girl going to do to the multiverse?
It's sketch roulette.
Oh yeah. Now, another one that's a little less in terms of actually a story, but still pretty game breaking. The spell Vanish was kind of like a blink spell in that it would make you immune to physical attacks, but gave magic a 100% hit rate. It turns out that Vanish could be cast on enemies with the same effects, which made them susceptible to things like an instant death spell. This also worked on pretty much any enemy in the game.
Oh no, it's the final. Well, he's gone.
If you in the opera house sequence, if you left one of the rats in the rafters alive and then later came back and fought it, you could use that to return from the world of ruin back to the world of balance. There was no way to go back to ruin the world again, so this did make the game impossible to complete.
Yay.
And in terms of other mechanics fails, the magic evasion stat ended up being used for both physical and magical attacks, and the evade stat ended up not being called at any point in the game. So the gear that boosted evade did nothing, the blind status effect did nothing, except make it impossible to learn blue mage spells if Strago had it on. Enemies that were supposed to be very hard to hit with physical attacks, just the same as any other enemy. Like, that's just some of the highlights there. As I said, there are over 100 identified glitches. It was definitely a very major accomplishment in terms of what they could do with the Super Nintendo, but it was also a demonstration of just how unstable it could be when you try to push the limits that much.
True.
Or when you don't have a proper QA process.
Also true.
Or by having Kefka as your main villain, not only did he ascend to godhood, he bugged the game out.
Blame it on Kefka.
Yeah, I actually found, while doing the research for this, I found another one that had been discovered recently where, through very long manipulation of stuff, you could end up having the airship at the very first point that you entered the world map. And then have Bannon in your party riding a raft forever. And then have all of the characters replaced by Moogles. Or Terra sprites that were recolored to have Celeste's coloring.
All I know is I want to do that glitch with the Moogles.
And then bring back General Leo. So it turns out you can bring back General Leo. Decades later, we were vindicated. It involves very stupid glitching that was probably unintentional, but who cares?
Whoa. All right, let's move
Good
her on.
times.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yay!
Probably the biggest known one is the W item materia used to duplicate items.
Yeah, that one was actually surprisingly easy compared to other item duplication.
It literally was press X, press circle, press X, press circle, press X, press circle, win. Pretty much.
Get all the items that you could use within battle duplicated up to 99.
And some of the megaphones, I think, as well.
If it could be used in battle.
Yeah.
The magic defense stat was never used in calculating damage. So basically, M defense was useless.
This saves so much trouble if I go back for a replay. And I have to note, a lot of these glitches were actually fixed in remakes of various games, though many of them weren't, and some of them added their own mistakes in the process.
Yep.
And not just remakes, some of the future prints as well. Like, they might have been in the North American version, but the European version might have had the glitches fixed.
Yep. Or
right.
It initially was in the JP version, but they fixed it when they brought it over to NA or EU. That was actually a big case in a few of these as well. Darkness stat only worked on certain types of attacks that were only used by players. So it was useless on enemies, apparently.
So yeah, if they inflict darkness on you, your accuracy rate drops. If you inflict it on them, nothing happens.
They've secretly got infrared visions.
Ooh. How do I become an enemy? This sounds great.
The entire Return to Midgar scenario could be skipped because the game did not properly cancel a character movement in a particular cutscene. So you could basically skip that entire cutscene and go right to the battle.
I think I did that, actually, by accident.
But just by moving your character to the little bit to the left, I think was all you needed to do.
Yeah, I swear, the first time I played the game, I skipped that entire cutscene, and then when I watched someone else play, I'm like, where did you get that from?
Yep. Yeah. Like normally when you're in a cutscene and stuff like that, your character movement is supposed to be disabled. There's a couple points where it was enabled for brief periods, like where the characters walk around as the camera's sweeping out to show some huge thing approaching and stuff like that. And they forgot to deactivate it in one of those scenes, which lets you go to a zone boundary and push on to the next area.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, skips the entire parachuting into Midgar sequence, the entire going around underneath the streets, all of that.
Yeah, I did skip that. I remember now. Yeah, I did skip all that.
Well done.
I was glitching even before I knew it was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, a fair number of these people did discover by accident. So that's how a lot of this would get started, spread around, just finding that, hey, this weird thing happened. This is what quality assurance is supposed to be picking up earlier on.
And then the PC version of the game, you could actually use the Yuffie recruitment area to warp to almost any spot in the game by saving the game in specific ways. Actually, you can use it to skip past large parts of the plot, replay various areas, or even bring back Aerith.
Hey, if you do it right, she never dies.
Yes.
Once again, the rumors were finally borne out decades later.
Crazy
on
stuff.
A completely different system.
Yes. Final Fantasy VIII. There weren't nearly as many glitches with Final Fantasy VIII. Maybe
for games that came later on, really.
Because maybe the popularity of 7 really got them to up their QA game.
One small glitch for 7 that isn't here that I don't remember the details for, but I used it once.
Oh, okay.
There is a major glitch where you can skip all the requirements pretty much for the Golden Chocobo. If you look on YouTube, it's basically involving saving the game on a certain part of the map, and it will guarantee when you load up and go back into the thing that the Chocobo will be born the different color that you need.
I thought that they actually debunked that.
No, I've done it, so... I've actually used that glitch to get a gold chocobo on the PS4 version, so... Because
I remember reading something about that and they said it was debunked, but...
No, I can confirm it is true. I don't know which versions have it, but I know the PS4
Chille.
does.
It's the Chille version. Chille glitches things.
Jeez,
That's
Chille.
true.
All right.
Hey, I got a gold chocobo without doing much.
FF8. So the airship could actually get tangled up in structures and making it impossible to board again. Good job. And you could actually
anything where you're futzing around with 3D models, there's always going to be someone who tries to collide them together at some weird angle you weren't prepared for.
And
I think the main one was the city at the end that you could do it really with.
But basically, I mean, if you would end up doing that, the game, you'd have to restart the game, at least from your previous save, because you would no longer be able to finish. Because if you can't get on the ship, you can't finish the game. You can't get out of the way. And then triple triad cards would sometimes randomly disappear from your inventory. And Vivi's actually commenting in the chat. Remembers at one time he was fighting Diablos and they cast Kiraga on the characters.
Wow.
So some of those are actually... Like, I know they would sometimes have stuff where they will react in interesting ways. I know in some versions of 4, Rubicon will actually cast beneficial spells on him if you're casting fire spells on him.
Oh, well.
I mean, he's a gentleman. You do something nice for him, he's like, oh, thank you, and he does something nice for you.
All right, and then FF9 didn't have very many either, but the biggest one that was known of was the Thunder Slash bug, where the hit rate had a base accuracy of 0. So basically it was worthless.
Not just that, it was a base rate of 0, and then an additional thing based on the magic stat used by a knight character.
Yep. Steiner and Beatrix, very low magic stats.
Also, I just found the thing about Diablos. It appears that is actually an intentional part of his AI. If you cast Demi on him as a spell that you had stocked up yourself, not as one you draw from him, kind of showing like, hey, you've got his element. You're like kind of like him. He apparently would give you a cure.
I'm always surprised if the cure is also just so he can keep demiing you.
Just to do more damage, huh?
Maybe.
All right, FF10. Seyrr, you want to continue on this one, or somebody else?
Oh, all right.
I don't mind doing it.
Okay.
Go for it.
By returning to the Albed home at a time where it shouldn't be possible, the player can jump back in the store and replace certain parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only part that home was supposed to be accessible was during the attack on it. And so if you managed to get into there at any other time, even though you shouldn't be able to, there was stuff that was supposed to block you. Like, that was the only part it knew, so it would go ahead and set the flags to be at that part of the story again.
When playing Blitzball, if the player took the ball and stayed behind the team's goal, the opposing team would never try to take the ball. It's possible to win almost any Blitzball game easily by establishing a lead and then running out the clock. That's what I did to win all my matches.
You scored a goal and then you hid behind the goal, huh?
Yeah,
Hey,
coward.
hey, Kugane Koban Crushers, take notes. Everyone else, don't listen to the show.
I don't think that's going to work.
No, it'll totally work.
And then your guys' favorite game.
But what can I do for you?
What can I do for you?
You can go ahead and read this one.
Yay! Fantasy X-2, aka one of the best fantasy games ever made. If the final side quest that was completed was the Xanacan one, the player would not be automatically teleported back to the airship and would get the cutscene that awards a special mascot dress sphere, which is adorable.
Oh, man. Keep going.
I was going to say, it's an adorable dress sphere.
Those Mobius ones are based off of the mascot dress spheres from 10-2. And yeah, like, it was because to get that, you had to complete with the best possible ending every side quest in the game. So that was a lot of work.
I hated, I must admit, I think it was 10 that was or was it 10-2 that had the worst 100% completion, because you had to see every text box in the game, including ones that you didn't really have to, if you were playing through the game normally, you wouldn't have paid attention to. So if you missed one text box, you wouldn't get the 100%.
I feel like I should make comments here that would just make things more sad.
Go ahead.
I never had that problem.
It's not a huge issue. It's just it's 100%. When sometimes
watch all the scenes. Talk to all the people. They have stuff to say. One of them wants to be a blitzball when he grows up.
Yeah, but some of them you've got to wait until the text box appears. It's not that you target them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you're hanging around and looking to see what else there is and considering your next move. And oh, hey, they're saying stuff. You wouldn't walk away while they're in the middle of things, would you? That's just rude.
The main one I always used to miss was the one on Besieged where you had to go to a different separate room. With the shopkeeper that tried to sell you the stupidly overpriced item that you couldn't afford, and then he loses at the end anyway.
And yet, we went ahead and saved that world anyways.
Yeah.
If this isn't proof we're good people, I don't know what is. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? I can't. Anyways. Oh man, well, like, we need to figure out how to team play that game. I don't know.
I want to know how. I know you could play Fantasy 9 with 2 players.
Ooh. We should investigate this.
You could set player 2. You could set 2 characters in battle as a different controller.
All right. Shall we move to 11? Which I can talk a fair bit about these. I was there for pretty much all of them.
I was there for most of it as well.
11 was basically when all of these cute little bugs and glitches, some of them actually then jumped over into the exploits category.
Yeah.
Because, I mean the issues with these, you're taking a mechanic that's unintended and then utilizing it to for financial, at least within in-game financial gain on a live ecosystem.
I would not be surprised if some of these ended up going to real world financial gain at some point.
With RMT, oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the thing. Like, a lot of these glitches were a lot more spectacular in terms of scope, which is understandable. You have a game that's being accessed by thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people at a time.
Mhm.
So all the interactions with that, and it's receiving regular updates, so you have the code changing all the time.
Yep.
It's a surprise that it remained functional at all.
PS2 limits.
PS2 limitations.
Oh.
Yeah, probably the most well-known exploit from Final Fantasy XI has to be the Salvage Duplication Bug.
Now, that wasn't limited to just salvage.
Well,
So, quick
yeah.
bit of history there. Early on, the instanced areas, the Burning Circle, Notorious Monsters, things like that, they weren't using true instancing. They were using pseudo-instancing, where you'd had the little entrance area, and then there would be multiple copies, usually like 3 copies of the arena area, all of them very, very far away in the physical space there. And so when you went to the little entry thing, you would get teleported to one of those arenas. So they had that as a thing, but that meant that it still behaved much like the overworld areas. It was in Treasures of Otterg, and I think that they introduced the actual instancing system. I think they gave it a different name, like the layering system or something like that. Whatever it was as something that was added in after the fact, it was definitely a bit more unstable, a bit buggier. And one of the very interesting features was if you went in with an alliance of parties, and that alliance was dissolved into the separate parties, while there were items in the treasure pool, each party would get its own copy of the treasure pool.
So basically, you get a really amazing set of loot that drops. You break the alliance, everybody gets a copy.
Yeah, now you've got 3 copies of that loot.
You gather it all together, you sell it, you make billions.
You also get your... Oh, go ahead, Chille.
And then you're 3 times as disappointed when you realise you rolled a low number and you didn't get anyway.
Well, most of the time when you were doing those, it was Loot Master anyway. It was going to your guild, your Link Shell leader.
And I mean, even then, if 3 people at a time are getting the armor upgrade materials instead of 1, then you're still getting it a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people got stuff what seemed like so quickly given the time entry restrictions, and it started to make a bit more sense after that.
Yep.
And this was one where the development team did not notice this for several months. And during that time, billions of gil in salvage drops were created. I believe almost 1,000 players were either suspended or permanently banned for exploiting that glitch.
That's when the ban hammer came out.
Oh yeah, the various forums, like BG forums, all the others like that. The sheer
the salt levels were real.
Alakazam.
This went beyond salt into white hot fury. It was a thing to behold.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they didn't, fix it soon enough, and then they basically let the players run rampant with it. Well, I mean, if players are doing that, I mean, it was a ban-worthy offense. I mean, because, like I said, this was a living ecosystem. The economy was definitely something that, fluctuated on a regular basis, and people took full advantage of it. So,
and this was very clearly there's some stuff where it's like it's a little bit gray about whether this is unintended behavior, intentional behavior of the system, and how much you're exploiting it. And there was no question that this was exploitative here, given the amount that was going on, how long it happened, how consistently it happened. There was just no question.
Yep.
And the fact that this was, like, the ones that were doing this were, of course, some of the best equipped players. So you had, like, a lot of the big endgame LSs, other stuff like that. They were the ones who got hit with the ban hammer. So, yeah, the amount of drama in the community was unreal.
Well,
I think salvage bans is still a forum rank on BG forums.
Nice.
Like for a while, all their forum ranks were various things. Like increasing ranks were events with increasing levels of drama. BG.
Yes.
Good memories.
Then there was the lovely little thing from Pandemonium Warden.
Yes, the Zenny Notorious Monsters and ATNM test.
Sounds scary.
So yes, that was one that involved various monsters with popped items that had a chance of dropping the pop item for the next tier. I am so glad we're away from that kind of design.
Well, you say that, but Eureka's coming up soon.
I'm pretty sure they aren't going to do there's only a 10% chance of it dropping the pop item for the next tier. Oh, hey, you were somewhere in tier 3. Too bad. Back to the beginning.
It's called We Will Have to Grind Fates, possibly, to have a chance to spawn the monster.
Sure, but do we then have to grind that monster to have chance to spawn another fate? Like, if it's one set, that's fine. It's when you're getting to, like, 3, or I think in this case it was 5 tiers deep.
Remember, this is a relic step, so...
I still have my doubts.
It won't be that bad, Chille.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be as bad as it used to be, but I really think we'll have some, form of it.
At any rate,
yeah.
So this was the 5th tier thing, the top tier one, Pandemonium Warden, where finally a group had gotten all of the pop items, all of the key items put together to be able to get the Pandemonium key that would spawn that final boss. And there was a spawn point in the middle of Wildrome Woodlands that seemed to react properly, gave the proper text when they were examining it. So they took that key there, traded it, and out emerged a random goblin named ATNM Test. Said goblin died in 1 hit. Said goblin dropped nothing.
Dun dun dun.
Pandemonium key was gone. Massive drama ensued and an investigation that eventually found that spawn point should not have been present. Even if that spawn point had been present, it should not have accepted that key. So this was one of the more high-profile, rare cases where they actually did go ahead and refund the pop item to them.
So they were able to get it and trade it to the proper location, and then subsequently die to Pandemonium Warden.
Well, yes. But I mean, at least that's a somewhat more legit way to lose it, you know?
Yeah, true. Very true. But yeah.
Oh, what else do we have here? Oh, yes, there was one where after an update, the thief ability, Sneak Attack, changed so that instead of working when behind the enemy, it worked only when in front of the enemy. And there was absolutely nothing in the update notes that indicated that Sneak Attack had been modified in any way. So players were very confused and making more than a few jokes about spaghetti code as to how this glitch could have even happened.
Maybe they just got Trick Attack and Sneak Attack mixed up somehow.
But they didn't make changes to either of those, at least as far as we knew.
They accidentally switched a 0 to a 1, and
yeah.
But where would they do that such that this would matter?
They were hitting page down and they accidentally hit a key on their keyboard, and I don't know.
This is the type of thing where it's like anything even resembling best coding practices should never have allowed something like this to happen, which mostly got a lot of aspersions about the programming practices that were actually being
Who said they were using anything close to the best coding practices?
That's what's implied.
Yes.
Wait. You said they had coding practices on 11.
One likes to hope for a massive, large-scale commercial release that they're at least doing. Yes, I know, we have not all had our illusions about the software industry broken yet.
All right. Probably the funniest glitch in Final Fantasy XI. That and one of the longest running glitches in a game. That poor beetle leg.
Longest running one that got fixed.
And it did get fixed, unfortunately.
Oh, the beetle enemy. Every single version of the model on a beetle, words hard. Every
Right.
single version of the beetle enemy model had the right front foot facing backwards.
So it was walking on a broken leg for 13 years.
And players pointed this out over and over and over. And eventually, yes, like I want to say 2015?
2014 or 2015, yeah.
They did finally fix that model.
I'll be honest, I never knew that.
It was one of those things that was really easy to miss until it was pointed out, and then you couldn't unsee it.
Yeah, it's one of those things you just can't unsee.
Like the GoldenEye box. Go look at the GoldenEye N64 box. There is something there that you'll never unsee.
Anyway.
Or the Super Smash Brothers camel.
So let's keep talking about Final Fantasy stuff.
Ah, yes.
Final Fantasy 12.
So yeah, after all the fun of the MMO, it went back to a little bit easier to handle quality assurance on that.
Because you didn't have to worry about everything being online and spaghetti coded together and a living, breathing thing.
That said, the open world model that they used did still have some glitches. You could repeatedly spawn rare monsters, confuse enemy AI patterns, and you could actually teleport around the map and despawn enemies by using immobilizing spells on one of your characters, then leaving them far behind and switching who the leader was to rapidly jump around the map. Speaking of rapidly jumping around the map, the players weren't the only ones who could get in on that action.
Oh, these poor items.
Yep, so the item enemy it was. If you were to afflict one with both disable and confuse, it would continuously teleport. And that being continually in that teleporting state, jumping all around the map, it was in fact impossible to kill or dispel. And because the duration of all status effects pauses when teleporting, those status effects would not wear off. Yeah. So it pretty much would just stay there, keep doing its thing for however long you happen to stay there.
Just watch it.
Someday that item is still teleporting to this day. Let's see what else we have. 13 was actually reasonably light on the glitches.
A few words for me now. A few graphical bugs, but
yeah. Snow's
because
code.
it was a giant corridor.
Not getting into this argument. Anyways, there was in some cases Snow's code could be made to retain its battle appearance even on the field map. A couple odd movements of enemies twitching about in various ways, things like that. And in 13.2, Mog could reportedly get stuck in place in a few areas. And since you needed him to be able to uncover time-shifted people and structures, that did make the game unwinnable. Still, compared to a lot of other stuff in the series, a bit lighter on the crazy glitches.
Yep, I mean, since like 8, there haven't been a lot, excluding 11. There's been
Which
pretty
is
light,
kind of a special case there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, because the code's changing on a constant basis whenever there's an update. All right,
Good
and
times.
then our current game, Final Fantasy XIV. There's been a lot. I mean, if you go out to the official forums and go to the bug reports, there are hundreds of reported bugs. And I mean, if you read patch notes, I mean, if you actually go in depth and read at the bottom of the fixed bugs, that's a lot of stuff.
They're not even just fixed bugs. They even put in the fact that they've got more bugs underneath that sometimes.
We made more bugs because we fixed this bug and we need to fix this other bug. And then there's another bug on the top of the bug.
Interdependencies.
Yes. But I mean, some of the worst ones, like I said, we had the one we just talked about at the top of this current segment. But probably one of the biggest fiascos that I can remember in recent history in the game was the market board exploit.
Oh yeah, that was back shortly after release too, wasn't it?
There was an issue where somebody could hack into and take over the data stream of your character if you're sitting by the market board. And
all they needed to do was find out your Square Enix ID as well.
Yeah, but they were able to get your data stream, and then they could make your character buy some innocuous item like a bone chip for like a huge amount of money, like 2 million gil, and then
Jesus,
it would be their bone chip that you're buying.
Of course, you don't have to buy someone else's 2 million gil bone chip
unless that other person is working with you.
Well, yes,
yeah,
but they found out about that, refunded some people's money, and people got banned. Because I mean, that's a stupid one if you think about it. Because just think how easy it would be to find out who the hell set that up.
I mean, if you're going to do that, it's because you're only planning to have this character long enough to sell the money to someone else.
Yeah.
RMT.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably.
Like, a lot of these make a lot more sense from the perspective of RMT.
But that's also why people hate RMT.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. As they should.
Yeah, and I know if you've ever wandered out into the some of the beginning areas, you'll see enemies just randomly turning into that they're being fought, and they're congregating on an area where there's nothing there. But
I've seen people leveling up who are nowhere around, and I end up using the targeting command to find that they're about a good ways below the ground.
Yep. They're using pause hack. They're using speed glitch.
Hacks.
Yep.
Or then there's the lovely.
Largely automated at this point.
Wasn't there a glitch in 11 with speed hacks with the internal clock? I'm sure I remember some people having issues with the BIOS being incorrect with time in the game, causing some people to get banned for that.
I don't recall that one.
There certainly was pause hacking, and I remember a very famous image of someone from actually my server's endgame community hovering in the midst of the dragon's area. They were pause hacking to be out of range of aggro, and normally the game would just display you as on the ground even if you're in midair, unless you were high up enough that it could resolve you as standing on another surface. That one certainly got its share of drama and laughs.
Yeah.
Memories.
No, Chille, what was the one that you thought of?
Well, not thought of. It just happened to me. This was I think it was. I don't know if it was a server tick or what happened, but I was doing 06S this week, and there's a mechanic where you all get reduced to 0 TP. All magic healing is reduced to 0, and then you're supposed to do a paint in the middle, and it removes the effect from everyone. It kind of didn't work on me this week for some reason during one run.
Huh.
I guess the server ticked because of latency. The effect happened after the painting for me. Or something, but I ended up having the effect forever because even if you die, you keep that effect if you're revived. So that means I literally could do no damage, nor could I be healed the entire fight, so we had to wipe it.
And then when you left the instance, it turned out that persisted into the world, and you had to make a new character.
Oh, God, I would cry. Actual man. I would be here bawling. There would be no snow outside because my salty tears would have melted it all.
Like, that is the time where, like, a GM actually fixes stuff. But...
Yeah, I mean, that's why they have backups.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I'd say that because I remembered it happened to me this week.
Cool. Not cool, but it must have...
I recorded it.
For posterity!
Yeah.
What are you doing with posteriors?
Why does everything have to go with butts to you?
I feel like that question answers itself.
He's just arsing around.
I can't be asked to continue on that line. Anyway, the other...
But why not?
The other glitch, and this is kind of a fun glitch that's in the game, is one of Luna's favorite glitches.
Mm-hmm.
It's the loft glitch, or the stage glitch, people call it. Luna, why don't you tell us all about it?
Sure. If you are watching live on the broadcast right now, you can kind of see in the background that Seyrr is up there sitting on something up in the sky, kind of like a second story platform in.
Let me help. It's over
I
there.
like my purchase.
Let's see if you can get up there. It.
Or no,
Look,
he's
so
just
this way.
he's pointing.
Good job. But yeah, that is actually the troop stage that you can actually glitch with a little housing trick. A lot of people learned this in 4.1 that you could float these stages up here. A lot of people in the beginning, they'd float stages, hot tubs, beds, anything that was meant to be on the ground, you could boost on up there and use as kind of whatever you wanted it to be. A lot of people did what I did, as you can see in the background right now if you're watching live, and make like a little loft area to hang out in. A lot of people also did like floating hot tubs or floating beds. Well, the thing is, people started to exploit that because if you kind of aim yourself just right, you can actually glitch out of the borders of your private room or your house or anything and go beyond the areas.
And go outside your little
And-
box.
Yep.
It's
Oh, yeah, I
hilarious.
remember.
The-
Break
Yeah.
free.
There's some
Used to be
there's
a-
some funny videos of people then laying these cushions down and walking all the way around their house on the outside.
Yep, it's
Oh, wow.
a lot of people with the storage being implemented into the game, all you have to do is basically from your storage place the little cushions that you can buy from a vendor, from the steward vendor that you can get, and place that, step onto that, go back to housing and do that over and over again. And there would be these elaborate, huge like mazes outside of people's rooms, and it would bog down the server basically. So they're like, okay, we'll fix it. I haven't tested it or heard anyone that's tested it since then.
To be able to glitch outside of the room.
Yep.
But it also did fix the old way of glitching
It
the
did,
everything
and-
up. But I posted a link to a new video that you did
Yep.
on how we can still glitch in 4.2.
Yep. The thing is, the 4.2 version is very limited. You can only do the stage, as I've heard. I've heard people doing some rugs, maybe. I don't know. If you go to that video that Klaus linked out, there's a bunch of people in the comments that say that I've done this with rugs. I haven't been able to do it with like a bed or a hot tub or anything like that. But the stages definitely work. They're very, very nice little loft areas that kind of
Mhm.
give a private room or an apartment or a house some extra room to play around with.
Yeah, people have done some very creative layouts in general. I've also seen like not just sitting spaces, but like odd type. Like I saw a hilarious one that I'll get you the link so you can put that up, of someone who created an Eorzean startup where you had things like making computer monitors by having a little structure thing that had a painting hovering on it, so it looked like a backdrop, computer background of a Lominson cityscape, stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep, a lot of people like to take the oh god, I don't remember what it's called. It's from the Gold Saucer though, or from a Gold Saucer event, but it's that little
Yeah, you're talking about the
that
Make It
back
Rain one
facade?
with the screen at the back.
Yeah, and they kind of put like a painting in front of that, and they kind of make it look like a TV, or
Mhm.
or they'll take like an orchestrion and put a painting in that, and they'll look like another TV or something. But there's a lot of things that you can do in game that kind of make other things, like if you go look on I'll make sure to share this link later. There's this one website that's just nuts. It's a bunch of Japanese players. Here, I'm gonna post it in the Twitch chat for people
I know
to
there's
look
also
at.
a subreddit, FFXIV Home and Garden, that does a fair
Yep.
bit of this sort of thing.
Yep. But this website has a bunch of different housing pictures on it, and there's people
Just
that have
using the system glitches to create different things.
Yep. Like Alexander. Someone's been creating Alexander in their mansion. And
that can't end well.
No.
Did we learn nothing from the Gobbies?
Apparently not. But
they'll do anything for cheese.
It's really cool to see stuff like that. Like they'll literally take all the items and make it look like you're going through Alexander in their house by fusing these items, floating these items, arranging these items in certain ways, using the glitches to their advantage.
Going forward and back.
Going forward
and then forward and back.
And forward and back.
Yeah.
One furniture forward.
And going back.
My understanding has been, at least the way they seem to have treated it, is as long as it's something that isn't affecting the gameplay and isn't bogging down the server, and it's something that they tend to be a little willing to look the other way, because it's like there is creativity going on. There is people who are having a lot of fun building community, building some incredibly, like someone that I was looking at on Reddit did a very nice looking modern style home by taking advantage of a lot of these stuff, like taking wall sconces, glitching 3 of them in mid-air, all next to each other to create a kind of mini chandelier over a dining space, stuff like that. A lot of this really granular, really fine level detail design of their houses, and it just looks gorgeous.
And then the other glitch that I'm going to talk about real quick before we move on is one that I learned about actually this past week. Where it came about, because people were doing the whole Ungermax thing. Apparently, you can also use the command AC warp in place of return, and it will basically, if you do /AC warp, it will take you to your home point, but there's no timeout on it. So you can continuously do it as often as you want. They did not fix that with the Ungermax patch.
In case you're wondering, warp is from PvP.
Correct. So there's a few things that
the Ungermax one did seem like this is an emergency maintenance. We need to fix this right this bloody second. And the other might be this is probably not as game breaking. We'll worry about that a little later.
It'll probably be patched out on 4.25 if I had to guess, or maybe they won't care and they'll just leave it. Either way, like I said, it's, not a big deal. I don't think that anybody's going to get banned for using AC warp, but
maybe don't do it too freely.
Yeah. But let's talk about Skybear.
Yay!
All hail Skybear. Well, or how about the A ranks that were running around in circles?
Yeah.
So I mean, there have been a few times when a mob will get glitched, like Skybear got glitched in midair. There was a few hours when Orcus was running rampant in the fringes.
Well, the thing was, it wasn't just Orcus.
I think Sabatender Ballerina was also doing it.
Sabatender did it. A bunch of other regular mobs did it too.
Yep, they would join in it. It's like they were fighting an enemy or something like that, and they were just chasing it.
Yep.
And they got stuck doing it.
Running.
And it was pretty hilarious. It's like something drew them aggro, and that they were just following it around. I'm wondering if maybe an RMT glitched there or something. No, I'm serious.
That's an interesting thought.
But it was hilarious. They fixed it without emergency maintenance, but
huzzah.
Anyway, but it was kind of funny because they weren't targetable, or you could target them, but you couldn't attack them.
No.
So they
just kind of ignore you.
Orcus sat there for I think 8 hours. That day.
If your Orcus remains up for more than 4 hours,
consult a surgeon.
I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't sat there going, "Finally, I can actually breathe for once instead of just dying."
He was just trying to get his exercise in, trying to get that step count up.
Leg day.
All right.
Mandible Day.
I didn't get the message.
Yeah, no, never skip Mandible Day. Final Fantasy 15. Not a lot there, but a couple of spots could actually be visited by swimming on a chocobo. There's nothing to see there at Angel Guard and in some certain Imperial lands that are only seen from a train, but you could glitch out of it. I also saw that in the episode to Sky beta, you could also glitch out of the intended area and explore a little bit more there too.
That glitch was really easy to do. What you had to do was just stand in front of a car, pretty much.
And then it push you out.
Yeah.
They fixed it with a patch during the beta phase, but like I said, there was nothing really to see at that point. There was no mobs or anything beyond that. It was just you could run around and take a look at stuff. Kind of like how Chille would glitch out of the camp during a multiplayer by unplugging his PS4.
Well, you didn't even have to unplug it. You just went to your network settings and clicked turn off
disconnected
network.
from the network, I meant.
Yeah.
And of course, there were multiple occasions and various ways which people looked for rather ardently to get Arnia into their party for extended periods.
I wonder why.
It's because
of boobs.
Does she really have that much in the way of boobs? I thought it was mostly like the kick-ass attitude.
I was going to say, it's because she was a strong woman that don't need no doctors.
And boobs.
She gives you a healing slap. Well, I mean, that might be related. That might be boobs adjacent.
Yeah, that sounds
anyway
pretty spot on.
Yeah, they found ways to patch it out, and then people found other ways to get it back again. So it was hilarious, actually.
Good times.
And there were a few in tactics as well. The Time Mage reaction ability, Critical Quick, which gives an immediate turn when critically injured, could be used to get infinite player turns.
Yep. You made use of that one along with the fact that So I always found it kind of hilarious. They had the status effect of... Because they had the faith level, which could go from 0 to 100 and affected how good you were with magic and how easy you were to affect with magic, which led to the hilarious status effect of atheist. That definitely didn't cause any amount of controversy. But
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
If your faith was 0, your status effect was atheist. I think that's the one they used in the War of the Lions translation.
Oh my.
I think it was called doubt in the original US translation. But so you used that in order to make sure that spells would not actually damage you, but if they hit you, it would, while you were in critical hit points, it still caused your reaction ability to trigger, even if it did no damage, giving you another instant turn. Keep this up with multiple characters, and you could have infinite turns.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Whenever you have enough abilities, you watch for that combinatorial explosion, because something is going to go together in a way you didn't expect.
Woo. Go atheists.
Yeah.
Also, apparently any job with a list of abilities longer than one page could gain 9,999 job points by taking advantage of an overflow glitch.
Yep. You had there was a thing that allowed you to essentially page up and page down. And normally when you've selected an ability of various things to learn, it would not let you move, but they didn't disable that command. So you could select an ability you could learn, use the page up or page down to go to an ability you did not have the JP to learn, go ahead and hit OK, and it would give you the ability, deduct the amount of points, which brought you to negative, which overflowed it to maximum. There is no particular reason I understand this trick so well. Why do you ask?
How often did you use it, Seyrr?
Just the 17 times. Okay, it was that or stand around shouting and punching each other while the chickened enemy looks on in confusion. And that's the real reason Robson was named a heretic.
All right. Well, I hope this look into some of the past bugs and exploits of Final Fantasy was interesting to you guys. We sure had fun researching it.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives a lot of, it's kind of a nice little stroll down memory lane when we're, looking at, how our games have progressed.
Guys, it turns out programming's really hard.
A little bit. Especially when you're dealing with something that's basically akin to a living thing like an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many dependencies and so many just little things that I can't believe that this line of code affects this particular ability in a way that we didn't intend.
That sneak attack one still makes zero sense to me.
Like,
Your peanut butter is in my cookie. Your cookie is in my peanut butter.
I have no idea if this is ERP.
I get that
or not.
reference.
Well, isn't it chocolate?
I don't care.
You just
I
want
still
cookies,
get that
huh?
reference though.
Who doesn't want cookies?
Not me, because
Mouse.
I would eat them all. Literally.
That means you really want them.
Well, it means I want them too much, so I have to say no. Well, Luna wants them, but she can't have them either.
Aw.
I can make keto cookies.
Do they have keto cookies?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Mm,
I'm intrigued.
I'll just stick with some pork rinds.
They have keto cheesecake, keto chocolate, keto caramel sauce. They have a bunch of desserts on keto.
Neat.
Luna knows all about them now. So if there's something you guys would like us to talk about, send us an email, podcast@phoenixzoneradio.com. Hit us up on Twitter @PHXDNRadio, or just make a comment on any of our articles out on our webpage, www.phoenixzoneradio.com. We'd appreciate hearing you guys. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we had researching it and doing it. So, guys, I know a lot of you have really missed the lore segment, and we almost didn't have one tonight because of Chille breaking Seyrr's keyboard. I mean, Seyrr spilling pop on his keyboard.
Oh no!
Hey! It was soda. Goddamn Minnesotans.
Pop. Dr. Pepper,
Fizzy
to be
drink.
specific. Fizzy pop.
Fizzy drink.
But I was able to convince him to write something up real quick, and that's kind of why he wasn't joining us during the pre-show, because he was what was it, lore cramming?
Something like that.
And go ahead. You were gonna say something, or we're just gonna totally lose him?
Oh, sorry. I was grabbing a fresh soda from the fridge.
You grabbing a pop?
No.
Just finishing up my pop here.
I'll finish your pop. Wait, that sounds sexual in a way I don't want.
Oh my.
Or do I?
All right, but he was able to come up with something for us. And he is going to talk about, or he's going to continue on with the 12 and talk about Althyk the Keeper. So, Seyrr?
We hadn't gotten to these in a while, so we've still got 2 left at this point. So let's go with the one that's always kind of fun, the time travel one. Everyone loves the time travel one.
Is it Wibbly Wobbly and Timey Wimey?
Oh god, why do you always make that reference?
Because it's always funny.
That's not how humor works.
Chille laughed.
Chille laughs at anything.
So? Are you
So
saying
anyways,
he's bad?
Althyk the Keeper.
Althyk the Time Lord.
Hang on, where's my notes here?
Not in the show notes, apparently.
No, they're half here, half on a thing, half in my head.
Okay.
I got caught up in the glitch discussion as well.
It was fun.
Anyways, Althyk the Keeper, the surveyor of change and space. I really like the use of the word surveyor there. It implies this historian aspect to him that we see in a lot of stuff about him. He is, of course, the god of time. We do not know him to have been the guardian deity of any particular nation. He doesn't seem to be terribly well known or worshipped compared to other members of the 12. He is the patron of historians and archaeologists. This is, of course, a more educated class, a bit of a smaller one, which is why we maybe don't see as much of him either.
That's why he's my patron deity.
Yeah. He is associated with the 12th month of the year and the element of Earth. Now, Eorzean belief says that the heaven of Earth is comprised of a sapling that was planted by Nofika, which Althyk turned into a mighty tree by bending time around it, kind of making it age up instantly. That tree is shown in the Astrologian's Bowl card. It is very reminiscent of Yggdrasil, or the Mana tree from the Seiken Densetsu series, kind of this whole world tree aspect. Meanwhile, the Hell of Earth is of a pit filled with leaves that have fallen from that tree and rotted away. So this terrible, rotting, decaying place. And some of the people that lie buried within those leaves include liars and revisionists. So again, this is a whole thing about respect for history, like time being viewed as this thing of like what came before the history. So the people who are in the hell of it are those who try to twist that history to their own ends. He is typically depicted as an austere emperor with a mithril great axe, and his symbol is the hourglass. Austere in this context means something that is very severe and strict. Althyk, like time, does not show pity and does not show remorse. It just slowly grinds away at all of us. The mithril great axe was kind of interesting. Given that we were looking at sort of this aged father time concept, it seemed a little reminiscent of the Scythe of Death. I know that the Scythe also has the agricultural things, and they may have wanted to keep that a bit more for Nofika. But this axe that kind of like severs, chops away, like I felt like there was somewhat similar imagery there, though I couldn't really find much to back it up. There's just not a lot of the lore in general to tell us about Althyk, unfortunately. We do know that he was the elder brother to Naimea and the father of Azuma and Menfina. Now, older brother here is a little bit kind of weird. Althyk was the very first god that emerged from the whirling chaos. Before then, there wasn't really a before then. As he was the god of time, time didn't really exist. So Althyk's emergence was in fact the beginning of time.
He just came from Gallifrey, that's all.
Yeah.
So shortly afterwards, Naimea emerged from the whirl. She, of course, is the spinner, the goddess of fate. So we have like time and fate, kind of these first things that are emerging out into the universe. But Naimea was still a mewling babe whose tears created a vast lake. Althyk raised her as a daughter, but over time, his feelings grew, and the two of them eventually fell in love and gave birth to two daughters. So there's kind of a creepy Woody Allen-ish vibe here that I'm not super comfortable with, to be quite honest. But this is something that you actually see on a lot of stories of deities, especially a lot of the older ones, where you have these like husband and wife and brother and sister, or father and daughter, where it's like there's this kind of divine incest thing going on because of the idea that like, well, there is no one else, and this divine stuff can only mix with divine. So surprisingly common, but especially for us, especially given that he raised her, super, super creepy. But the two daughters that they gave birth to are, of course, Azuma and Menfina, who are the sun and the moon. Now, Althyk is one where, again, we don't have a lot of interaction with him. Aside from the various PvP gear in the game that you can get that has his name on it, the only other major mention I found was Althyk lavender, which is a type of lavender that you can actually grow in flower pots in your home and use to trade in for all sorts of various random crafting materials and the like. There was for a time an item called the Keeper's Hymn, back when you could actually set your attribute bonuses. So as you leveled up, you could give bonuses to your strength or dexterity or whatnot. Althyk's Hymn was an item that could turn back the hands of time and reset those bonuses, allowing you to distribute them.
Oh god, I forgot about that item. Because you used to use it all the time as Summoner and Scholar because of the difference in the stat weights.
Yeah, I stocked up on a whole bunch of those, even when they were expensive, because I had nothing else to buy with seals, and now they're all just basically worthless.
I believe you can now trade them in for something or another. I think. I'm not sure. I should check on that. I remember I think they did add that you could like trade them in for some kind of minor refund or something. But the other one that especially 1.0 players will be a lot more familiar with is at the Battle of Carteneau, when Louis Suave's great magic circle was blown apart. He reaches out and cast one final spell, and you do see that rune of the hourglass shape appear. And that was Louisoix specifically invoking the power of Althyk to send us into an ethereal rift, which is why we show up 5 years later. It was essentially some kind of like time stasis or time travel or whatever spell. We don't know the details of it, of course, but that was him specifically invoking the power of the God of Time.
He was putting you in the TARDIS and sending you back.
So wait, is it Louisoix or Althyk who's the Time Lord here? Make up your mind.
No,
Well, Time Lord is a race, so...
Oh, God damn
maybe
it.
Louisoix is part-time Lord?
Of course you guys know about this. Damn it!
Of
I thought
course
I could
know,
get away
but
with that.
British!
Right, British.
Well, actually, no. When Louisoix called out to the Time Lords, he just came, picked him up in the TARDIS, and sent him 5 years in the future. That's all.
Clearly, Louisoix is a Time Lord's companion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it! I am not creating new canon here!
But you already have by saying that.
It's canon.
I know.
Woo!
I said it. I can't unsay it. I really want to unsay it. Althyk, help me out here! The other mention I do remember seeing was in the Bard quests when Jehental is singing songs, telling you about tales of the past. He would often give an invocation to Althyk to turn back the hands of time or to clear the myths of history and allow us to gaze upon the past. So there is that invocation there. I'm sure the Sons of St. Koinak worship him as well, but he's kind of this patron of those who seek to understand the past. Which is why he's talked as the surveyor of change, kind of this person who looks out over, who surveys history. Again, unfortunately, there's not a lot of parallels to draw from here. So I did have trouble finding a lot of real-world links. He's a god about whom we honestly don't know very much, and anything in-game that was actually invoking his power would tend to involve weird time travel stuff, I would think. So it's possible that if we ever do have an obligatory time travel expansion, that we'll get to learn a little bit more about stuff associated with Althyk, but for the moment, we just don't have very much.
Well, maybe
Which
he
is a
worked
little
with
bit
Bill
of an
and
interesting
Ted.
irony that we have a very little historical record for the God of History. Though perhaps he's the one who likes to write it rather than being the one it's written about.
Is it possible maybe he works with Bill and Ted? Maybe he's the one who gave him the phone booth?
Okay, I am making a list. Reasons I need to punch Klaus. When is FanFest?
Or maybe it's how they came up with the DeLorean.
So anyways, yeah, a little bit shorter, I know, but again, there just isn't
There isn't a
lot.
lot. No.
Which is a little bit disappointing because, again, as a god of historians, of people who like to understand the past, like, it was actually between Althyk and Thaliak for who I wanted to be my patron deity. So this is like one that I'm really interested in, respect a lot. So it is a little disappointing to me that we don't have very much, and I'm hoping that's something we'll get to know a bit more about in the future.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, it was just because it was the closest thing to December. So, and honestly, that's why I ended up picking it. But the more I read about it, the fact that he is, involved with time and space and all of that,
having him as the December one, as the kind of like father time. You have often the image of like when the new year, you have like the new year as a baby and the previous year is like an old man that's being passed off between. So having him as this kind of like person who's at the end of it, watching out over all that has happened already. It's interesting that like even though he's the god of time, his focus is mostly on the past and not on the future.
Oh, can I say feel better soon, Luna? I just noticed that.
Yep.
Say again?
Luna had to step out, so.
Oh dear. I hope you feel better, Luna.
Yep. She was getting a migraine, so we want to thank her so much for her contributions and all the help and everything today. So always glad to have Luna on the show.
But yeah, that's about what I've got for Althyk. Hopefully we'll have more in future, but for now, we've got a god of time who's mostly a god of history, focused more on what came instead of what is to come.
Well, he's now a woman, so nice to have finally have a female one. Anyway.
It is kind of interesting, actually. I'm only putting this together as I've seen it, but you kind of do have Naimiya as the spinner of fate. She would be the one who's a little bit more concerned with the future, isn't she? The one
Possibly.
who's like looking at the past, and then the one who's charting out the future between them.
Well, maybe she beat him up, and that's why we don't hear much about him anymore. Or he used that watch to turn himself into a human. Wasn't that an episode?
Yeah, that was an episode, yeah.
So he could live out his days.
I'm gonna have an episode.
The chameleon watch, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
It wasn't Churn, but to everyone else, he was human.
Yeah.
Welcome to Doctor Who Radio, where apparently we just talk about Time Lords and shit.
It's wibbly wobbly and timey-wimey.
Hi, welcome to Wibbly Wobbly Radio, where we have fish fingers and custard, because apparently that's a thing one should do.
In fact, they did sell that during a event.
Did people eat it?
Yeah,
Did they like it?
I think so, actually, yeah.
Huh.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
The world is weird, guys.
No shit. Welcome to the weird world. All right, thank you, Seyrr. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully we can finish up the 12 on the next episode.
Oh, yeah. Last one we've got is my patron deity, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, and then we can, like I said, one of our goals is maybe to take all these lore segments and put them into their own series of podcasts. So if you're interested in that, I strongly recommend you go look at our Patreon page at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio. Once we hit that first goal, we'll have the funding to be able to take the time and do that. So,
oh man, it's like Planet Money's The Indicator, but for lore.
Yes. Sure. Whatever you said.
It's an NPR thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anybody have shout outs? I'm looking at you, Chille.
A shout out to Klaus, Sarah, and Luna. Hope you feel better, Luna. A shout out to EvolvedMale, aka your girlfriend's favourite streamer at twitch.tv/EvolvedMale. A shout out to Kane, Aurori, Vivi, everyone that's joined us today on Twitch, and a shout out to YouTube I've been watching every so often called Mione. Check them out on YouTube. They cover Fantasy 14 stuff, so I do recommend their shows.
Mione Ace, right?
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Mione Ace, I believe, is the link.
Yeah.
All right, Seyrr.
Oh,
wait. Where can we find you, Chille?
You can find me at Chille UK on Twitter, ben.chillebehall@psu.com if you want to email me.
Or you can find him at Nando's.
Your local Nando's.
Cheeky. All right. Now, Seyrr.
Shout outs to, I don't know what I'm shouting out. Shout out to The Good Place, which I streamed all of on Netflix and then streamed it all again 2 times because it was actually super funny. And it teaches you about like ethical philosophy and stuff.
Woo.
Shout out to my Phoenix Down Radio crew, Klaus, Luna, Chille, for helping with just keeping things somewhat sane and grounded while this last week or 2 has been super busy. Love you guys so much.
Aw.
I guess that's about it. You can find me on Twitter at FFXIV Seyrr, where I, at this point, mostly just post pictures of random cool stuff I cooked. We did chicken marsala last week. It was really nice.
Woo.
Everyone loves chicken marsala, right?
Yeah. Not as much as
Also-
bison burgers, but
Oh my god, that thing looked gorgeous.
it tasted just as good.
Klaus posted an absolutely delicious looking picture of a bison burger that he did, and with like a blueberry barbecue sauce thing, and I am kind of envious and in love.
Yay. If I can make Seyrr jealous of my culinary skills, that's a feat. So, I want to shout out as well my co-hosts, Luna, feel better. Seyrr, thank you again for all your hard work and helping me rewrite the glitches that we found. Chille, thank you for your hard work on this and just your support. Thank you to everybody who's watching us here live at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, as well as everybody who's listening out on the podcast. We really do appreciate it. And you can find me and my Bison Burger out at Twitter at PHXDN_Klaus. And that's Klaus with 2 S's. You can find Luna at Luna_Vox. She has a lot of cool stuff on her Twitter page, so follow her there as well. You can find this show and all of our other shows out at our website, phoenixdownradio.com. And like I said, if you have a question, a comment, or anything you want to say, just say hi to us. You can email us, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. The show's Twitter account is at PHXDNradio. And if you want to say hi on the Facebook side of things, we do have a page, facebook.com/PhoenixDownRadio, as well as a group that goes with it, facebook.com/groups/PhoenixDownRadio. So guys,
it's a Facebook thing. I don't pretend to understand it.
Well, I mean, people like to, group up and talk about specific things in these groups, and I guess we tried to make one of them. So,
Facebook.
Social media in general is a very weird thing.
Yep.
But we just try and roll with it. Anyway.
That's about all you can do.
And hopefully it works. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And you hear us say this all the time, but please leave us a rating or review. Not only does it let us know what you think of the show, but it helps other people to find us and a whole bunch of algorithm things and makes us show up higher in the search queues. So help us out. We really appreciate it.
Silicon Valley.
Yes. Woo.
God, I need to get out of this stupid valley for a bit.
So like I said, it helps us to be found and grow within the Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy in general podcast community. And if you really dig the show, you could consider becoming a subscriber here at Twitch, getting access to some subscriber-only emotes like the logo, Seyrr's Love Lore, or the coveted Lava Scorpion.
Praise Lava Scorpion.
Or you can show some love out on our Patreon page at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio. All the proceeds from either of those go towards growing the show, covering things like the behind-the-scenes costs of the hosting and all that stuff, and allows us to do some fun things for you guys as well. So, but regardless of how you support us, whether it's likes, emails, retweets, follows, or whatever, it's greatly appreciated because we love interacting with you guys and the rest of the community. So, for my hosts, Lunavox, for Seyrr and for Chille, I am Klaus Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.